Good morning and welcome to the first day of the 2023 ITTF-Oceania Senior and Youth Championships. My name is Andrew and I'll be taking you through all the action live from Townsville in Queensland, Australia. We had a fantastic event in the last 2 days before the Olympic qualification event, but now we move on to the next one, the second biggest event held in Oceania, the Oceania Championships. This is where everyone in Oceania battles to be the best. Each country seeing which is the strongest. And starting off the day, we have the two countries of Fiji and Tahiti in the women's first round, the group stage. Two fantastic players. We got to see a lot of Carolyn in the Olympic qualifications using that pimples on the backside. Carolyn Lee from Fiji. A very, very formidable opponent. She is currently, at this stage, number 5 in Oceania, world ranked number 97 overall. Very impressive place to be for the one in blue. And on the other side, from Tahiti, we have Kelly Tiatu, the one in red. We haven't been able to see a lot of her yet. Of course, Tahiti now playing for the Oceania Championships. They weren't able to play in the Olympic qualification event as technically being part of France. The French have produced a lot of fabulous players. Those who have seen the Lebrun brothers, Félix and Alix Lebrun, very, very strong players, the future of France. Just 19 and 16. Of course, in Oceania, we have these two fabulous players. As we get closer to beginning the first match of this championships, we look forward to seeing what the two players have to bring for game number 1, a best of 5 in this team event. 5 singles, there is no doubles. You guys remember from the Olympic qualifications, we had 1 doubles and 4 singles. In this one, we only have 5 singles, which does benefit the Fiji pair a little bit more as they only have 2 players. So they are unfortunately forced to forfeit 1. But as opposed to the previous event where they had to forfeit 2, it is certainly better. And our 2 umpires, we have Frank Chen, our main umpire. We have in the deputy umpire, Wingao, both from Australia. So as we prepare to start the first game of a best of 5 in the singles, Kelly to serve. Love all. And a let on the first point. When it touches the net, you have to replay. And a good open up. You can immediately hear the cheers from the bench of Tahiti. Definitely a strong start. Already showing that she's used to the pimples. She knows how to deal with them. And that's the thing about the long pimples. I mean, how you can tell when the ball reacts. Long pimples reverses the spin, backspin to topspin, and topspin to backspin. A nice short push, not moving forward. You can see the double bounce, the quality, and the wrist work into the shot. And a little bit of nerves, just the hesitation in the shot of the forehand, the one in blue. And a very nice change to the forehand, again with the pimps. The pimps also slow the ball down, and the change of pace can be quite challenging to deal with. An unusual forehand to miss. She doesn't normally miss them, but again, as the nerves settle in the first game. And that's a lot more like what we expect to see from the number 5. A ferocious forehand. A bit of fortune to help with that one, but again, as Carolyn gets the nerves settling, she starts to get used to the player that she's playing against. But a good serve from Kelly to put herself and maintain a 2-point lead. And the heavy backspin. Short to the forehand. And see, that's the thing about the Pimples. As you see, a lot of the players, they open the first ball, and they have to push the next one because it's loaded with spin. Of course, when you push the ball, Pimples punching it, make a top spin again. As someone who's played a fair decent amount of Pimples, it can really do your head and have to not only focus on what you're doing, but on how the Pimple works. Just requires that extra level of brain power. Carolyn now settling in more, starting to get those forehand shots on. Leveling the score at 7-all in the first game. A good serve now to take the first lead in the game as we enter the later stage. Carolyn looking to be in a lot more of a comfortable position, or rather calm. Again, there's that serve, the third ball, the crushing forehand. The patience now as the nerves start to settle in. Of course, there's a lot of pressure when you're playing at such a high importance of an event. And what a beautiful inside-out forehand, finding Carolyn on the movement, looking, waiting. You can see Carolyn going to that forehand, knowing that the backhand is now exposed. Very well played. And that's the thing, you have to be patient on the Pimples, and Kelly just showing the patience to have a 1 game point. And she only needs one asking to take the first game against the number 5, 11-9. A really good start for the one in red from Tahiti. She's certainly seeming to really control those Pimples well, and she's finding an answer. The brain power is real. We'll see if Carolyn can find a way to adjust to make it more awkward with the Pimples. Probably try and settle in a little bit more. Try and take the second game. We'll see what the two players have to bring after this. And we're back for game number 2. Kelly leading by 1. Lovell. That's much better use of the Pimples now. The depth. Catching Kelly. Oh, what a beautiful recovery. Covering in that middle. It's one thing I say a lot. It's true, is that the middle is so hard to cover. Kelly finding it. The good footwork moving across the court. A good serve to follow. This would definitely be a massive win. Kelly can pull it off. Because then keeping in mind, Fiji has automatically forfeit a match, so they are technically 1-0 down. They can't afford to lose anymore. Or rather, they can, but they don't want to. Being 2-0 down is certainly a tough way to come back. Now, Carolyn down by 3, a very good position for Kelly. She's really controlling that pimple well. You could not ask for anything better. The coach definitely happy. As the Fijis, they're still having to find a way to break into the control that Kelly is bringing. Carolyn is still going to have to try and find a way to adjust to the player that she is facing. The forehand just dropping a little bit too far. A very commanding position. They are leading by 5 points in the second game to take a 2-0 lead. A very good topspin. Kelly, the number 14 in Oceania, is putting up a fantastic fight up against the number 5. Oh, how did that go on? Wow, that was insane. I mean, unfortunate to lose the point. But still very impressive to get it back on. She set herself up really well, using the short pimps, now changing it now with no spin. Of course, the thing about pimples, you can get a little bit of spin on it, but generally you're using your opponent's spin. And that tends to be the case anyways, even when you're not using pimple. But the pimple, because it reverses that spin, it kind of tends to want to use the spin a little bit more. Because the more spin given, the more you can give back. And so at the higher level, it can become very tricky to deal with. Oh, what a beautiful shot. Loving the aggression from Kelly. And a really good serve to win their second game, 11-5, now leading 2 games to love. It's not a position that you would expect someone like Carolyn to be in, but again, upsets come in all possible ways. And if there's a moment to do it, it is certainly here. Kelly really showing her skill, the improvement she has been having. But we'll see if Carolyn can find a way to come back in this match. Again, it is not over until the last point is played. As the number 5, she does have experience. She can find a way to fight back. We'll see what the 2 players have to bring for game number 3 after this. And we are back for game number 3 Carolyn on the back pedal, now down by 2, the number 5, looking to fight back for her country. But Kelly to serve in a very good position. Love all. And a good serve to start. Again, this would be a very early upset. And what a way to start. What a way to start the Oceania Championships with an upset like this. Again, nothing is over, but certainly a good start again for the one in red. Good use of the pimples. Change from the backspin to the topspin into the body. It still feels like there's a little bit of hesitation in the shots. Maybe the nerves haven't fully settled in. Of course, this is the first match, and it can be hard to get into it. But it's certainly not to be said for Kelly. A shot that misses, but still the aggression there. She is taking no risks. Oh, what superb play. The heavy topspin into the backhand of Carolyn. The ball bobbing up, seeing the weaker ball. A crushing forehand to the forehand side. The movement from the backhand to the forehand. The butterfly movement, those who do those drills in table tennis. Very unusual. It does not seem Carolyn is fully into this. I would say not necessarily in terms of wanting to win. She definitely wants to. She's definitely trying to fight, but the nerves still just there. And the pressure mounting, I would say. There's probably some factors as to why she is missing balls that she definitely did not miss in the Olympic qualification. I guess we'll have to see if she can find a way after the timeout to calm herself down. Get into the rhythm. But Kelly really doing well to prevent any sense of a rhythm. She's finding the answers. She is calm and collective. Patient. When it comes to dealing with the pimples, of course, that is another massive element of table tennis, is the styles. Sometimes your styles go for you and sometimes they're against you. In this instance, it is clear that Kelly, the one in red from Tahiti, knows stylistically how to stop the pimples from Carolyn. Now with a 3-point lead. And on the back pedal, but with the serve. We'll see what she has to bring from this timeout. And the timeout has not fully kicked in. The momentum still firmly on one side. I mean, and she's running away with it. This would be a very, very big win. An important win to give a 2-0 lead to Tahiti. And she is just got it all. Now leading by 6. Oh, what recovery! Insane! The wide forehand reaching down the line to the pimples. Now 2 points away. 2 points away from causing the first upset of the tournament. The number 14 now up against the number 5. And she has done the serve. She is now 7 game points away from giving her country a 2-0 lead over Fiji. That is 1 game point saved. Carolyn truly in a dire situation. And a real good forehand to finish the match. 11-4, the first upset of the day. Kelly from Tahiti taking down the number 5 from Fiji, Carolyn. A very good opening match, and now an important situation. Fiji is 2-0 down. Certainly not straight away. We do have another match before the forfeit in theory, but Fiji knows they have to win the next 3 if they are to take down the country in red. A fantastic fight, a critical win. The number 14 now, a great 3-0 over the number 5. We'll be back for the second match between Grace Yi from Fiji versus Kila Tahitia, the sister of the number 14. Kila being number 13 from Tahiti, that won the one on the court. Of course, Tahiti only needs one more win to take a 3-0 win over Fiji. Of course, Grace, the number 6 in Oceania, has the short pimps on the backhand side, the red rubber. Again, we got to see her in the Olympic qualifications. As they played New Zealand. Fiji, unfortunately, having to forfeit 2 matches. They lost the doubles. New Zealand, with an incredible show of resilience, taking the doubles to win 3-1. But we'll see if Fiji can find a way to fight back and win this match. In terms of scores, currently they are 1-0 down. They have a chance to level the field, but they do know that the third match, the one that precedes this, is a forfeit, because the Fiji players only have 2 players. They are 2 very good players. But we'll see what the 2 players have. They have the 2-minute warm-up. We'll be back. So as the players get closer to playing the first games and starting the match, there is the time called. We get ready for the second match of the team event. Every single one of them a must-win for Fiji if they are to come back and win this. Tahiti are now 1 match, in theory at least, away from taking a win. Love all. And a good start from Grace. Good topspin serve, the kick. Deep push from Kila. And as I say, one of the most effective shots in table tennis can be the deep push. Loaded with spin. Sometimes we're just not ready for it. default. A gift wrapped in a bow and left at the doorstep of Grace. A good heavy spin and open up to the forehand side of Keela to give Grace a 2-1 lead. The one in blue from Fiji. Another good serve. Very good start for the one in blue. 4 points ahead. And a good serve to recover one of the 4 points required to level the field. Keela fighting to try and level the score in this game. And that's another really, really critical point. Of course, every point is critical when you're playing a match at this level. The deep push into the backhand and one into the middle. The middle shot being very hard, it removes the ability to place the ball, the angles. Now leading by 3 and with the serve. And the heavy backspin into the middle. Keela just not being able to get quite to the side, showing the placement from the Fiji player. A good heavy backspin serve. Now only 2 points down. Has certainly done a good job to continue the fight in this game at the second towel break. A good topspin serve to maintain her lead. Grace still in a good position in the opening game. And that forehand certainly puts her even closer to taking the first game. Now 2 points away. Keela now from being only 2 points behind, now trailing by 4. It's an uphill battle if she's to get this game. And a nice half long push. Set 5 game points for Fiji. And a bit of fortune to help, but nonetheless still a very good forehand to finish the point. 11-5 in the first game. Fiji certainly doing so a lot stronger. The first game actually of the teams match for the country. Grace, number 6, looking very strong over for number 13 from Tahiti. We'll see what the two players have to bring for game number 2. We'll see if Keela can find answers. She can adjust to the short pimps. We'll be back for game number 2 shortly after this. And we're back for game number 2, and I was able to have a little bit of a check, but indeed Grace, the one from Fiji, the number 6, is also the Oceania, the ITTF-Oceania Cup bronze medalist. She showing why she is. good push. The deep push into the backhand. The pimples make it tricky because the pimples, they don't put as much spin. And for that reason, and just like seen here, that means the ball bops up more because there isn't as much spin on it. You can't just dig into it as you might normally do with the heavy backspin. On a very, very good point right here. Certainly the best one of the game. A forehand to finish to the forehand side. Grace just calm and collective, close to the table, firing everything that comes to her. She works the pimples very, very well, getting it tight, flat, making it hard to deal with. Of course, you can't just block the pimples. The ball will just die into the net. You have to add a little bit of wrist. Of course, the pimples, again, not as much spin, and what would look like heavy backspin is just almost no spin. Of course, that's being the error, the overlift, overcompensation. On a very well played point, Fry by Keela. Both players close to the table, trading points, firing it off backhand to forehand, using both the backhand to the forehand, a very common style of play. And very well placed into the middle, finding the deep middle. So saying, very common, a lot of the players on the female side tend to be closer, faster, as opposed to the men's who have a tendency to play back a little bit more spin. Of course, the two different styles, both entertaining in their own right. Now, Grace leading by 3. And a good topspin, a ball that is not as deep. Of course, the pimples, you have to add a little bit more onto it, otherwise it will just drop into the change of depth really taking into effect here. Oh, very well placed by Grace in the middle and wide as can be to the backhand. This is the tactics, the smart that got Grace her bronze medal at the Oceania Cup. Of course, Fiji also got 3rd at the Olympic qualifications that previously happened, despite only having 2 players. Really well placed into the middle. Now only 1 point behind the one in red from Tahiti. She certainly lifted her level a lot higher from the first game now. Although technically only having had 1 point ahead, she's by far not out of losing this game. It's a good serve, shot to the forehand. Just not fully following through with the next shot. Again, as I said, the nerves do have a tendency to add a bit of hesitation to both players. And I think that really shows you where your better players are, the ones who can start strong despite the pressure. The 2 fantastic tops and serves to give herself 4 game points. Grace in a very comfortable position now. The right idea, the right placement, but the heavy topspin from Keela. And Grace slightly misjudging it. Ball drifting long. Still 3 game points are required. And a false serve does not help her cause to claim this game. The comeback was not fully able to be possible. Grace claiming 11-7 in the second game for a 2-0 lead. This is a much stronger performance by the Fiji players. Grace showing the experience, showing why she got that bronze medal at the Oceania Cup. Now the number 6 leading by 2. We'll see what the 2 players have to bring for game number 3. Can Keela find a way to even further lift her level? and not just match Grace, but increase it. Can she find those tactics to shut down the aggressive game? Will Grace march away with a 3-0 win? We'll find out very shortly after this. And as the players come back for game number 3, Keela now down by 2, looking to fight back, try and win the match for the country. And that is by far one of the best points we've seen so far in this game. A very smart movement from the middle, the forehand. Of course, finding the wide backhand. And of course, that's one of the really cool things about watching the women's side of the sport and seeing that difference, the close to the table. One of the things about being close to the table is being able to cover the court better. Oh, what insane recovery off of the net. And it wasn't even a high ball, it was a relatively lower one. The chop, the feeling on the bat. The pimples by Carolyn, but the feeling. The touch. Be able to recover in that point. Now 2-all, just slightly overhitting on that one. Again, the pimples not adding as much spin as you might expect. But I think it's important to note that just because the pimples can't put as much spin on the ball doesn't mean that they can't put spin on the ball. And Grace knows this. That's one of the things that she uses to her advantage, the change between the heavy spin and the slightly less no spin. Oh, very well placed into the middle. Baiting Keela on the forehand side, trying to get her moving onto that side, getting more comfortable on that side and firing it off into the middle. The change of direction. A very good topspin. Now to lead by 1 point in the third game. A comeback is still very possible. And certainly would be another upset. Of course, 2-game cushion. Grace still in a good position. And a very good heavy topspin into the body of Grace. Now to lead by 2. A much stronger start by the one in red, Keela from Tahiti. She looks to fight back and claim this match. And the team's win for Tahiti. Oh, really well placed. One of the shorter sides on the forehand. Really, really wide. And Grace having to stretch to get into it. Now trailing by 3. Keep in mind, the first 2 games were relatively comfortable for Grace. Now Tahiti. Adjustment from Keela showing how she can continually lift her level up. She leads by 2 in the third game. A good top spin into the middle with the pimples, not as much spin. Again, showing the effectiveness. And I think it's really interesting to note how many players within Oceania actually use that short pimple side. Of course, the top 2 players in Oceania Yangzi Liu, the number 1, and Min Hyu Ji, the number 2. Both from Australia and both using the pimps as well. Oh, very well placed. Down the line. The rallies just keep on getting better. These two players really showing the class of the sport. And the hesitation on the forehand. Again, just showing the placement. The better you place, the more hesitant your opponent can be as they have to decide what they do. Grace ever so closely inching herself to leveling the field and stealing the game despite being 3 points down earlier on. And that's a forehand that certainly will do it now. At 8-all in the third game, it is anybody's game, but remember, Keela does not want to lose this one. She does not want to give Fiji any chances of a comeback. The pimples just showing how effective they are. The punch, acquiring more lift from the opponent. And from 6-3 down now with 2 game points. Grace looking to march on 3-0 with this match. And a really beautiful forehand in the middle to seal the deal. 11-8 in the third game. Fantastically played match. The two players fighting their hardest. The levels increasing every single game. Fiji now getting themselves a point on the scoreboard. But again, keeping in mind the next match, because Fiji does not have that third player, they unfortunately have to forfeit the match. So now 2-1 down. But of course, this was a critical win for the country because they need every single one they can possibly have. But now Grace back on for the next one against Keely. Keely causing an upset against the number 5. Can she cause another one and win it for her country? We'll find out very shortly as the players start to pump themselves up on the side benches. They'll get a 2-minute warm-up. They'll be back in for the action. The number 6, Grace Yi from Fiji, versus the number 14, Keely Tahutia from Tahiti. Right. Be back for that very shortly after this. For those only tuning in now, we are back for the third match. But technically in the order of play, it is the fourth, Fiji having to forfeit the previous match as only having 2 players. We have the third match, fourth one in play. Tahiti is 2-1 up after we saw this exact player, the one in red, Keely. Tahiti are taking an upset over the number 5 from Fiji, Carolyn Lee. We'll see if she can perform another upset. Of course, she has a very formidable opponent, the 2022 Oceania Cup winner. No, not winner, bronze medalist. Winner of the bronze medal match, rather. 4-0 over her compatriot, Carolyn Lee. Having just come off of a 3-0 win over the sister. See what the two players have to bring. Of course, Fiji in a must-win situation. They have to win every single match if they are to win this team's match. They are down by 2. It is not impossible. But after a very good win by Keely, it is certainly a motivation, a confidence booster that she'll be using into this match. And so we'll be seeing what the two have to bring. And our umpire for this match, Frank Chen, and our assistant umpire, Winger. We thank them for making sure that the rules are upheld. But now as we begin the match, the 2-minute warm-up has been completed. The one in red to serve. The first game of the third match here, but the fourth match in play. Level. Good heavy push into the backhand. Heavy backspin. The touch, the feeling. And one thing to note from the previous match that Keely played, the first match of the team's event, the first match of the day, she's a very aggressive player. The aggression is the right mentality to have. But we'll see how she's going to adjust against the short pimples this time. She did very well against the long. And that heavy topspin serve working so well for Grace as she leads by 2. Both of the Tahiti players are struggling to just get over the top of it. And a well-fought point. It was a high ball and it was definitely a chance, but being in that middle, testing the movement of Grace. A fantastic point. We're going to see a lot more of those in this match as the two players fight their hardest. Grace looking very comfortable, leading by 3 points in this opening game. And another serve to now lead by 4. And I think that's an important thing to note. The serve, one of the only times you have full control of the point. Of course, as soon as the serve has been completed, the second point onwards, or the second shot rather, in the point, it's up to both players. But the serve, you have the full control on what you want to do. And of course, the serve determines how the actual point itself goes. So this is why it's really important to know your serves, to practice your serves. Grace showing why it is so effective, leading by 4. Well, that was one way to receive the topspin serve. A beautiful roll over the bat into the middle of the table, the center line. And that is another one of the 4 points required to level the field. Again, the aggression is what is required. And then something I was saying in the Olympic qualifications, if for those who have been seeing that, the risky shots, having to take the risks, the half-long balls, the balls out of position, every one to fight and stay in a match and win the point. Very well placed, double down the line to the backhand side. Of course, people being used to drills, you change it up. It can throw a player off, the unexpected placement. I mean, Grace is just not phased by anything. Just getting every single one of those balls back. Quality and placement, now leading by 4. Oh, what a forehand, really showing her skill right out here. Now leading with 5 game points. And the serve. Ooh. A bit of fortune on the edge. And the heavy open up. These are the risks that I was talking about before. Now, only trailing by 3, still a hill to climb, but one that can be done. And that is the third one, asking 11-7 in the third game. Grace taking the first set. Not as comfortable as some of the other ones she's been having, but still, nonetheless, a relatively good set for her. And a great fight by the one in red from Tahiti Akili. We'll see what she has to bring for game number 2. If she can find a way to adjust to the pimples. Of course, not being as much spin. You can see as the ball goes off the table a lot more. We'll see what the coach has to say for both the players. We should get past the drilling shots, the consistency of Grace. We'll be back for game number 2 after this. We're back for game number 2. Grace leading by 1 game, 11-7 in the first. Now with the serve. And a good heavy spin open up by Akili. Using the legs to lift that ball deep into the body of Grace. Again, that change of placement. Grace showing her experience, the tactical knowledge on how to play this. And some very nice depth onto the white line, deep as can be, leading by 1. And a bit of fortune to take the next point, but nonetheless, still a very good point. Aggression still maintaining. Oh, what a serve and third ball. This is the drill that all the players are training for every single day. It's one of the most important times. Again, remember the serve being one of the few times you have full control. Because you have full control with the serve, if you have the heavy topspin serve like you saw before, it means the third ball can be easier to win. And so in actual fact, it gives you more control in the later stages as well. But another fantastic point just that happened, the forehand to backhand. And Kelly's going to have to try and find a way to shut down that aggression. Shut down the consistency of the balls that Grace continually gives. Oh, what an answer to the serve. Wide onto that corner, the wide baseline. And straight back into the backhand. Testing the footwork. The footwork of the one in red, Kelly, from Tahiti. And a heavy backspin, half long shot. Loaded with spin. Now trailing by 4. I think that's something to note. Kelly is really good with the open up, the spin on the first ball before getting into a hard rally. And there's that change of pace, catching the half-long serve really well, spinning it up, and then having the faster rally in between, getting a little bit more on top of it. But Grace, again, the consistency and placement she brings. Really is a challenge to break through, crack open the game of Grace. Ooh, it was a good serve. She had the point. She went for it. Just a little bit too much of a curve. A slight over adjustment. And a fabulous backhand across the pimple. Change of angle on the bat to try and lift the ball. The ball doesn't always grip as much on the pimple, being a different surface. Now leading by 4, 2 points away. A little bit of fortune, the double net, but the change of placement, it took Grace out of position. She's going to need to do that more if she's sustained this match to come back and take the second game. And a good topspin serve. Both players really actually showing the effectiveness of the fast, long topspin serve deep into the body can be tricky to deal with, especially if you're nervous. Oh, really well played. Changing the pace, but more importantly, changing the placement, keeping Grace on that backhand and chucking it wide. Now only 1 point away from leveling the field in the second game. Oh, and a good serve to put herself 2 points ahead again. 2 game points ahead. To say, one of the things about the fast, long topspin serve, a lot of players do it in critical moments like this. As the other player will be nervous, might be a little bit hesitant. Of course, hesitance on a topspin serve is deadly. Now with the serve, trying to level it all to take the second game. And she does it with the first one, asking 11-8 in the second game. A much tougher second game. Keely in the back pedal now, down by 2, but she's starting to find some answers. She's starting to find a way, the placement to try and crack open the consistency, the quality that the shots that Grace is getting. We'll be back for game number 3 to see if the one in red, Kelly, can find a way to fight back for her country, or will Grace secure the second game and push this to a deciding 5th match? Winner takes all. We'll be finding out very shortly after this. First point won by the one looking to come back as we start game number 3. Ooh, she looked like she was able to recover it just a little bit wide. Of course, Grace winning this match would be very important to push this to a 5th match of the teams. Really good topspin serves there by Grace. Very well played. Seeing the short forehand and that she hasn't come out again. She opens deep into the body, the backhand side of Kelly. Now leading by 2 in the first towel break. For those who don't know, every 6 points you can have a towel break, and 4 plus 2 does equal 6. That's the first towel break. Ooh, she tried. She went for the right angle, but down the line. She's going to have to do that more. Those are the risks she has to take, but a timeout called from the Tahiti bench. As she tries to regain her thoughts, she had a relatively good start, but now down by 3. Again, she needs this, and that is the wrong card. Frank accidentally putting the red card, and for those who don't know about the card colors, white is the card color for a timeout call. Red is a card you do not want to have. Of course, red card is a loss of a point, but first there is a yellow card as well. And the yellow card is one of the warnings, the official warning, and it will remain in the team event for the entire team. One of the differences between the singles and the team event. As the players come back for game number 3, the middle half of the game after the timeout. The full timeout pretty much being used. Players ready. Fiji leading by 3, still down by 1 match in this team's event now with the serve. That's very well placed. A good start out of the timeout. And seeing throughout the events, the timeouts haven't always been kicking in straight away, but here working immediately for the one in red. And a bit of fortune, but the change of direction again now showing how important it is to play the tactical game, a massive element of the game. Of course, skill is an important part, but I would argue that 2 of the bigger parts in the game is the tactics and, more importantly, the mental game. Of course, as we saw in the first match, the hesitance in that mental game can really cost you. Oh, really well placed. The side spin, change of direction. You can see the smile on Grace as she acknowledges the point. Really well placed, really well fought. And I think that is something that's really beautiful to see, is when the players, they acknowledge that their opponent, they got a good shot. We'll move on for the next one. They can have their glory on that win. Now trailing by 1. There are many times a fault serve can happen. That certainly was not one of the ones you would want. Of course, the only one worse would probably be losing a match on a fault serve. And she has still regained another point. She is fighting her hardest to try and stay in this match now, only trailing by 1. Good recovery since the timeout. Oh, and the heavy spin to level at 8-all. Again, remember, she was 3 points down. With the timeout, a very well-called timeout by the team. And a little bit of hesitation. Remember what I was saying about the mental game? As we get to the later stage, the mental game is truly tested but for these two players. Now, as you can see, the hesitation now, the weaker shots. Grace now showing the strength on her side of the mental game now. 1 point away from leveling the field at 2 matches apiece. And a good top spin, the risky heavy spin, taking her chances now 1 point away from leveling it at 10-all. It is still anybody's game despite the fact that Grace has 1 match point. Oh, off of the net, off of the net. The pressure to get a quality ball on that. I mean, again, this is the mental game. And the mental game is tested so much at this point. What a fight back. 10-8 down, now 10-all. And a really good serve to put herself, again, 2 match points down, now with a game point to try and put herself 1 step closer for winning it for her team. Oh, and a good serve by Grace. The serve and third ball. Leveling at 11-all. It is still anybody's game and anybody's match. It is not over for the one in red with the serve. Ooh, a bit of fortune, but you got to commend the risk of changing where it goes is something Adam Bubber says, something that I really agree with. Fortune favoring the bold. Oh, she had it. I'd probably say a little bit of sigh of relief, but the placement nonetheless good. And look at that. Another match point, a third match point for the one in blue, and with the serve. Look at the risk. The risks are being taken by both players. 13-all in this third game, the third deuce of the third game. And the heavy backspin, like I was saying, the change that can be done with the pimples between the nose spin and the heavy backspin. And now a timeout called by the Fiji bench. And I would argue a very good timeout call as well. Remember now leading by 1, she doesn't want to have a situation where she loses this point and the game. The coach knows that if they get this point, they level the field. They cannot afford any margin of error. So we'll be seeing what the two players have back for this late stage. The third deuce of the third game. Can Kelly find a way to fight? Not only get this point, but the next 2, or will Grace, the timeout, show its effect? Will she claim this? And as the two players come back, a 4th match point for Grace. And again, with the serve to do it. Was probably told what serve to do by the coach. A very common tactic. Well, 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 would you look at that? The timeout not fully working, the point now secured. And with the serve, Kelly looking to fight, stay in the match. And that serve, heavy backspin into the body, the middle of Grace now with another game point to try and push this to a 4th game. Oh, the tension is rising. The two players trading left, right, and center. Oh, a very good change of placement. Again, you can see Kelly just not ready for it. And a bit of fortune to level it at 16 all. That was the same before. Tactics now really showing their effect. Who can change the direction first, put their opponent out of position. 16 all. Oh, look at that, the deep push. 17-16, this game is getting wild. One of the longest games that I have been seeing so far. And the tension is high. No one will budge. No one will budge. I mean, I think I would love to see this go to 20 all. I don't think the players exactly would love to see that. Oh, the risky serves, the long ones. I mean, like I was saying, players at a stage like this can get hesitant. The mental game and the tactical game coming together. And the heavy top spin. The timeout did not work. 19-17 in the third game. Tahiti, the hope, the fire is still alive, and we are going to a fourth game. She was 2 match points down. She fought hard, and she has claimed herself her first game in this match. We'll be back for game number 4. We'll be seeing what the two players have to bring. Can Grace find a way to shut down, smother the fire, the confidence, and the hope of Tahiti winning this match? Or will Kelly find a way to level the field and win it for her country? We'll be back for game number 4 after this. And as the players come back for game number 4, incredible fight back in the third game. Fiji to serve. And a good heavy spin by Grace, the number 6 in Oceania. The points traded, another heavy spin. Both players showing the importance of the spin game. Oh, a dismissive forehand, crushing to the forehand side, the center of the forehand side. Taking away the pace of the shot, getting in early. Denying any chances of a return. Good recovery off the net. Of course, wasn't a full enough. Grace still ready for it, but commend the fighting effort. Very well placed by Grace. Down the line, the center line, and wide to the backhand. She's finding the answers. She is adjusting so well, now leading by 3. Another good serve. You can even hear the coach is saying and agreeing with that. Leading by 4, certainly more comfortable. As we come back from the towel break, the first towel break, both sides having used the timeout. Good push deep into the body. The heavy spin. Grace really showing the consistency and being able to change the pace from the slow, spinny ball to the hard and fast forehand. And I mean, she's showing like one of the important things is when you spin that first ball, the ball coming up a little bit higher. That in itself is a drill. She's been working on that, just showing here. And the slower open up, using the pimples. Of course, with the pimples, the ball doesn't kick as much, and so the ball just not coming to Keely. Now, the one down by 6. But she can't fight back. She did in the third game rather. The fourth game now down. Oh, and that has got to be one of the worst times to fault. Good spin. Look at the fighting spirit. It's still there. It is still there. Wow, wow, wow. Now with 6 match points. That is one saved. That's 2 saved. She was 10-8 down. She came back and won 19-17 in the third game. Can she do something like that again? And she does it with a third one asking 11-6, 3 games to 1. The hope, the fire of the comeback has been shut down, and now Fiji leveling the field at 2 matches apiece. Now Carolyn looking to fight to win this 3-2. But of course, we have Keela, the sister, fighting as well from Tahiti, with the 2 players looking to see who will claim the win for their country. There's a lot of action looking forward to. The pressure is mounting. I bet you we'll be seeing a lot of cheer from the 2 countries as their players get ready. We'll be back for the next match very shortly after this. And we are back for the final match of this team's match. Both teams are neck and neck at 2-all. And so whoever wins this match not only wins the match for themselves, but they win it for their team. So there's a lot on the line. We have the number 5 from Fiji, Carolyn Lee, with the long pimps rather, on the backhand side. The green rubber. It's actually very common. A lot of long pimple has been green rubber. There's a few also on the men's side that use the same thing, and another one, Min. And then faced on the other side, the sister of Keely, Keely rather, is Keela. Seeing what the two players have to bring. Who can win it for their country? Of course, Carolyn's slightly more favored, I would say, at least by the rankings, but as seen by the upset in the first match, anything is possible. So as we get ready for this match, the two countries on the edge of their seats. And so are we as we begin the first game of a best-of-5 singles. Winner takes all. Love all. A fault to start, a gift wrapped in a bow. A good topspin wide to the forehand. Well placed down the line. The patience on the topspin, the open up. And that is really showing the effects of the long pimple. The heavy topspin just getting in onto it earlier, changing it to heavy backspin. You can see as the ball drops into the net. And a very good forehand into that middle. You can see she is firing herself up into the first towel break. She is certainly playing better than she did in the first match. But I'd also say, remember, I was saying about stylistic things. I would also say that there's a possibility that this is a stylistic advantage, maybe for Carolyn. Keela maybe just not as used to it, but that is a forehand she was missing before and now getting on. Maybe a little bit of revenge after her loss. Now even more focused, wanting it even more, now leading by 4. And a bit of fortune off the top of the net. What a forehand. The step around, covering the middle and smashing, crushing that ball. No mercy at all. And the heavy backspin. Keela trailing by 4 in the second towel break. A good serve. She's in a tough situation, but it is still very early in this match. Oh, but Carolyn, she is fired up. She knows she cannot make the same mistake she was doing in the first match. You can see the determination, the change in attitude, the confidence she has been having now as she is 2 points away from taking the first game. Oh, very well placed by Keela. Changing it from the middle and then wide as can be to the backhand. Carolyn nowhere to be seen. Reaching for that ball. Just a bit too far. And a good serve now to give herself 4 game points to put Fiji 1 game ahead in this opening match. To complete a comeback. Oh my word, what a shot, what a determinative shot. As she takes the first game 11-6, Carolyn looking to be in a much better form. The confidence is flowing through her. Keela is going to have to try and find a way to adjust on the pimples, to play more aggressively, to shut out the game that Carolyn is trying to play if she's to not only stay in this match, but win it for her country. Of course, Tahiti was 2-1 up. It's now 2-all. We'll be back for game number 2 to see what the two players have to bring to the court after this. And we are back for game number 2. Fiji leading with the first game after winning 11-6. A relatively comfortable game. We'll see if that can carry through the confidence of Carolyn with the serve. And a good change. Now the bench of Tahiti cheering on their players. Of course, this is the last match of the first round. So all eyes are on this table. Good use of the pimples, changing it to the topspin deep into the body. And look how she removes all center pace. She really takes the ball early on the rise of the ball as it hits the table. Oh, what a forehand. Deep into the backhand side. And despite it not being in the most comfortable position, finding the wide angle, finding the white line. The number 5 really lifting her level every game. And a good serve to follow. This is a different Carolyn that we saw before. This is a Carolyn who is determined to win it. To gain revenge off of her loss. And the heavy backspin. Of course, that is one of the things is that Carolyn will have to deal with the spin that she gives as well. Of course, she could twiddle the bat, but I don't think that is technically, I don't think it's exactly what she wants to do, nor does she try to do. I think she prefer to just open the ball, and rightly and understandably so. And the jump, a little jump. She saw that one go into the net a little bit earlier, and the jump just trying to get it forward a little bit. Little shake of head saying, we'll just move on and forget that ever happened. And that serve certainly pays off. She might have given a gift before, but that one was anything but a gift. And a forehand to follow. The forehand consistency has by far increased here now. She leads by 3 points. The number 5 now in form. Very, very good use of the pimples now, leading by 4. And I'd say, yeah, there's probably a stylistic change. Keela just not fully sure. Oh, but that was a very good answer to the serve. The heavy topspin deep into the body. Because the more topspin, the more the ball wants to go up, and Carolyn not fully adjusting to that spin. Oh, these are better answers to the spin. A lot more patience. Something that persisted it very well. The ball just drifting a little bit long now. Carolyn 2 points away from taking a 2-0 lead and putting her country one step closer to a comeback from 2-1 down. To seal the match, 3-2 over Tahiti. She is finding the answers. The patience getting much, much better. And a bit of frustration from Carolyn. She knows she could have got it, and she just drifting long. The pressure is building. The comeback from the one in red. The fire and hope is still alive. Ooh, the heavy backspin. Remember the pimples. A high ball, it's deceptive. A lot of the time it would be backspin on the push, but a high ball normally you would expect to probably have topspin, but because of the pimples, it changes. Touching the top of the net. And just like that, 11-8 in the second game. Keela had her chances. She was finding the answers. But it just seemed that the deficit of 4 points was the breaking point. We'll see if she can continue to put those answers and maybe take an earlier lead to fight back from 2 games down. But now Fiji, their comeback from 2-1 down is still very much healthy as they look to try and take the match 3-2 over Tahiti. And of course, Fiji not wanting to take any risks. They're going to put their hardest fight in this third game. Both sides looking to try and steal the show. We'll see which player can emerge victorious in game number 3 after this. We are back for game number 3. Tahiti in a tough situation. They are 2 games down. Can they fight and win this match? As I was saying before, at the end of the second game, Keela was finding answers, and we'll just see if she can continue that into this game here. What a forehand! The speed on that ball, no mercy as she drills it into the body of Keela. Again, I think she's starting to adjust more and more. And she's starting to deal with the pimples a lot better. Of course, the pimples can be an advantage, but it can also be a disadvantage. And there's the advantage right there. The player trying to finish the points can come back and bite you. But of course there, the patience now taking effect. Because of course the pimples, you really don't have any control on the spin you're putting on. You're about as good as what your opponent gives you, but now Keela in a much better position, leading by 2 in the first towel break. She's continuing the momentum and taking a lead that she really needs. And the slower, spinny forehand, shorter, not so deep, and not coming to Carolyn's bat. So the ball just not there for her, the awkward shot. And a bit of fortune, but what a lead, leading by 4 in a much better position now. Keela looking to fight back as we enter the mid stage of this match. She's finding it, she's figuring it out. You can hear the support from the bench and the supporters from Tahiti in the crowd, cheering their player for a comeback. A good change of direction. Of course, the pimples being super effective. However, you have to use them in a way that shuts it down. Sometimes just getting the ball into the same place is just not good enough. You can see Carolyn really trying to move it. But Keela just finding the answers. She's starting to figure it out. Or rather, has figured it out. And now because of the lead, the confidence just building now. 2 points away from taking the 3rd game. If she keeps this momentum going, she might be able to perform another upset for Tahiti. And not only that, win the match for the country. So that's the thing, both players with a lot of pressure. Both will be a deciding factor as to which country can come out victorious. Say it a pretty bad false if it was Carolyn doing it, but when you're leading by 10-3, it's probably one of the few times where a fault doesn't really make a difference. Or can it? Time will tell. And the shorter ball, second one is the charm. 11-4, taking the 3rd game. The spirit, the fighting spirit of Tahiti is still alive. They do not want to lose this match. They were 2-1 up. And a comeback by Fiji would be heartbreaking. There's still miles to go in order for this match to be secured by Tahiti. A comeback is not impossible. And if Keela can continue this momentum, continue with the answers that she has found, she'll be in a very comfortable position. So we'll see if Carolyn can find a way to break the spirit and claim the match for Fiji. We'll be back for game number 4 after this. We are back for game number 4. Tahiti, the fighting spirit, looking to continue. And Carolyn from Fiji looking to crush any hope and claim the match for Fiji. We'll see which country can prevail as we start game number 4. Carolyn to serve. Lovell. Deep push. You can see Carolyn telling herself, close the bat a little bit, get in earlier. An out of position forehand pays off down the line to the center, and that's the thing, at the higher level, being out of position, it's not where you want to be, but the placement can still be found. Well, the recovery, a very well played forehand by Keela. Grace just there with the bat. Leads by 1. The answers continue. They continue, and the fighting spirit as well. It's still anybody's game. And it is still anybody's match. Again, the forehand working the slight step around. And the movement forward, adding the power. A much, much more aggressive game here by Carolyn. This is what she'll need to do. She cannot be too defensive. That's the other thing, a lot of different styles with the pimple. We have the aggressive pimples as seen here, but of course there is also the defensive pimple. And a timeout called from the Tahiti bench. Understandable. They do not want to keep Carolyn's momentum going. They want to break it. So if she continues the way she is going, she will complete the comeback for Fiji. Of course, Fiji with a bit of a disadvantage, only having 2 players, but despite the disadvantage, the 2 very high caliber players they are able to overcome. And that is what we're seeing here. Despite having an upset against them, Carolyn is finding a way to stay in the match, to maintain her lead. So as the 2 players come back, we'll see if Keela can readjust to the aggression that Carolyn is bringing, shutting it down, or Carolyn continue to show no mercy, taking the risks that are paying off so well and win it for Fiji. Now Keela to serve, trailing by 2. That's a good start out of the timeout, the heavy spin into the body. That is 1 point saved. 1 to go. And that is the pace control of the Pimples. And a good serve to follow, now leading by 3, a much more comfortable position. She really struggled in the 3rd game, losing 11-4, which has adjusted so well. Remember being the one to have lost the first match for the team. I'd say she kind of has a feeling, an obligation to win this, beyond just winning it for the country. That's better patience now. Comeback still very likely if she puts on the show she did in game number 3. And now with the serve, trailing by 3. Slightly tighter. Shots with the pimples, keeping it short. Much better placement into the middle. The chicken shot just not coming down. Those who have seen the chicken shot, one of the masters of it, Ma Long, the greatest of all time from China. And it's there. 1 more point saved. 2 to go. Can we see a fight back in this match? Look at the face. She had no clue what was going. All she knew that was not the right shot. As the pressure is building as we enter the late stage of this match. That's a critical point to win. She did not want to be 10-6 down. 9-7 still very likely to be able to come back. Against the serve. And the heavy side spin to give herself 3 match points, 3 team match winning points. To not only gain revenge, but to continue the confidence for the country. Ooh, the risk. A slower shot. You could see her slightly adjusting. She looked like she wanted to push it, but she knew she couldn't. She had to go for it now, trailing by 2. The serve. And she does it! 11-8, 3 games to 1. Fiji completing the comeback from 2-1 down, have sealed the team's match 3-2 over Tahiti. Carolyn showing why she is the number 5, having regained the confidence of her loss. We saw an upset in the first match. From then, Fiji just finding an answer left, right, and center. They were able to adjust. They were able to bring back their game and seal the deal, winning the match. The first match of this Oceania Championships. We'll be back for the next one. Another thrilling match to come between Australia, the home country, the under-15 girls versus New Caledonia. We'll be back for that. We'll be seeing you soon after this. and welcome to the 2023 ITTF-Oceania Senior and Youth Championships. My name is Andrew Udall and I'll be taking you through all the action live from Townsville in Queensland, Australia. We had a very good women's teams match previously, but now we come to the under 15s. We enter the youth side. We have Australia, the #1 seeds and the host country, versus New Caledonia. On table one, we have Talisha Gator playing not only in her home country, but in her hometown of Townsville. She's a fantastic player, fiery player, good with the spin game, just slightly different to what you would see from a lot of other female players. But don't be mistaken, she has a fast game as well, and when she's fiery, she is fiery. And on the other side from New Caledonia, we have Yvonne Nastradon from New Caledonia again. This is an under 15s match. We are seeing the youngsters of all the countries, the futures of their table tennis squads, the future generation. I think that is one of the beauties of this event being a combined senior and youth, is not only do we get to see the older folks, the ones who have been working their hardest, training their hardest, and have gone to the top in their country, but we get to see that next generation. And in some instances, that generation in the men's and women's team respectively. In the Olympic qualifications, we saw that with the 15-year-old Aditya Sareen from Australia. And not just that, Nicholas Lund and Finn Liu as well at 18. And in the women's side, we had Connie at 14, still under 15s. And at a level where she has qualified all the way to the women's team. But here for the 15s, the youngest category of this championships. We've got two fantastic players. It's always fun not just seeing how good they are and how they increase throughout the years. It's also really cool seeing the passion they have for the sport. Seeing why they love it so much. Of course, Australia are the favourites to win, but that does not mean we will not see a fight from those in the blue. Of course, Australia winning all of the gold medals in 2022. So all the other countries, Fiji, Tahiti, New Caledonia, Papua New Guinea, Marshall Islands, they're going to look to try and break that, take a gold for themselves. Seeing as the matches get closer. And the timeout, the 2-minute timeout has finished. We got Talisha to serve. First game of a best of 5. Good serve, a fast, long. You can see the side spin, the curvature on that ball going away from Yvonne. Ooh, what a backhand down the line. You can see the smile on Talisha. Probably wasn't fully expecting that. This is the Oceania champs, the best from every country in the Oceania region. And a forehand topspin. Not fast, but controlled spin. And I don't know if you can see, but the New Caledonian have a mascot. And they are cheering for their players. I love to see it. And the heavy side spin top spin as the ball lifts up to the side. Very good patience on that ball. Talisha taking her time. Not trying to drill it, rather focus on placement and spin. And a heavy side spin serves, working really well for her. Yvonne doing very well to keep the ball short, loaded with backspin. Of course, the risk of it going long is that Talisha will try and get in as early as possible. To keep it short, to keep it tight. To prevent Talisha from getting in, but a fabulous backhand over the table. The wrist acceleration forward to put herself 8 game points. Oh, the recovery was looking really, really well. Yvonne fighting for that point, but Talisha just getting them back on. Taking the first game 11-2 in this best of 5 singles. The first match of a best of 5 teams match. There are no... Actually, there is one double, 15 girls, slightly different to the open categories. The third match will be a doubles. We'll be seeing that later on. Of course, the first match between the youngsters from Australia and the youngsters from New Caledonia. And as the players come back for game number 2, we'll see what Yvonne has. She can find a way to shut down the aggression, find a way to control onto that spin. The feeling and touch that Talisha puts on every single ball, the quality. That's certainly one way to do it. A very good backhand, a rocketing backhand into the middle of Talisha. But Talisha replying the favor. Forehand really wide. The curvature, again, you can see that side spin. Talisha gets around that ball. And a warning from the umpires to make sure the ball needs to be 15 centimeters high when thrown up. The umpires doing their work to make sure the players abide by the ITTF regulations. Our main umpire, Wing Ao, and our assistant umpire, Don Abbott. We thank you for your job, making sure the players do their best under the regulations set by ITTF. We're going to commend Yvonne. She is trying to be confident and aggressive, and it is doing well. The same thing again, the ball needing to be higher thrown. Of course, more likely to see these kind of things at the younger age as the players are learning, developing their fundamentals. And seeing the players abide by the rules, acknowledging their errors. Of course, this is not just any event, this is the Oceania Champs. The umpires will be doing their absolute best. There will be no margin for error. Now as Talisha's 2 points away from taking the second game, still controlling it well. And the heavy topspin. Gone just letting the ball drift along. Now Talisha, 7 game points. And the heavy, heavy topspin on that backhand opener up. You can see how the bat drops. She lifts the ball, rotates it forward using that wrist. Spin just too much for Yvonne, the ball dropping long. Australian taking the second game 11-3. A really decisive game, just like the first one. She has lots of control, lots of spin, showing that level of experience at such a young age. We'll see if Yvonne can find a way to control into that spin. Back for game number 3 after this. We are back for game number 3. Talisha in a very commanding position right now, leading 2 games, both being very decisive. We'll see if Yvonne can find a way to get over the spin hurdle. And that is a gift wrapped in a bow and left the doorstep of Yvonne. She will take that. She will take that as we have 1-1 in the 3rd game. And a very good backhand open. Getting deep into that body. And the ball just dropping wide, just a bit long. This one trying to get it deep. And the topspin just going long. Yvonne with her first lead in this match, doing very well. And the heavy spin again. Yvonne just not getting on top of that ball. Oh. New Caledonia just being called out. You are only allowed 1 coach at the bench. And they had the second one sitting there. Whether they were actually coaching or not does not matter. You can only have 1. Now 4-4. Much stronger set for Yvonne. And part of that comes to the aggression, the risk she's trying to take. The heavy, heavy side spin. Talisha just controlling it so well. She's not trying to drill the ball, just focusing on placement and spin. And that's what she's known for. That's what she does so well, and it's why she's at this level that she is. Oh, well placed by Yvonne. Very well placed. Wide to that forehand side, just missing the backhand. But the tactics were there. It was a smart move, but a good backspin serve now to set Talisha 6 game points to take the match. She does it in 1, 11-4, another dismissive game. But a fantastic fight by Yvonne. She was finding the angles, just struggling a little bit with the spin, but you can see the support that the team has for Yvonne. Well played. We'll be seeing what the next youngster from New Caledonia has to bring as we come back for the 2nd match for this team's event. The umpires will be rotating. The new umpire, Donna, and then Wing will become the assistant umpire as they rotate between every single match. But until then, we'll be back for the 2nd match very shortly after this. And we are back for the 2nd match of the team's event. Australia versus New Caledonia. We saw Talisha Gator take the first match 3-0 over Yvonne Nasrodon from New Caledonia. Now the second one, we have the Australian Victoria Zhang, who got silver at the 2023 Australian National Championships in the under 15 category, the category that we are playing here. And her opponent from New Caledonia, the one in blue, Sonia Kasman. We're seeing what she has to bring, and as I was saying before, one of the really epic things about seeing these matches is seeing the next generation, the future of each country. Seeing what they have. And our umpires for this, we have Donna Abbott as our umpire and our assistant umpire. We have Wing Out, and so as we start the first game of our best of 5, the second match of the team event. Love all. A heavy hook serve, backspin. It's been one thing to see here, how the New Caledonian players deal with the heavy spin game that the Australians are producing. Really has been a deciding factor. Of course, Australia have been producing outstanding players. And the women's side especially, most notably, Yangzi Lu, world number 30. Number 1 in Oceania, the number 2, Min Hyun Ji, 38. Two very highly ranked players in the world having great success. So Australia looking to produce even more of these players, and that's what we're seeing here. Now leading 9 points to 0. Sonia really struggling with the spin. Now 10-0 right here. So the question now remains, does Victoria give Sonia a mercy point? And the answer is a resounding no. 11-0, not a single point won by Sonia. An absolutely destructive set. No mercy at all. Sonia really struggling with the spin. Of course, again, this is the under 15 category, and there is so much room for improvement for both the players. That's the beauty of the age, the room of learning, the room of experience. Of course, no player ever stops learning, even at the advanced level, but of course, with the prime relatively being said to be at about 24, 22 to 24 area, there's plenty of room before we reach that area for the players to do their best. And so as Sonia comes back to the table for game number 2, to see if she can get her first point of the match, with the serve to do it. And there it is, the first point of the match for Sonia. A nice serve deep into the body of Victoria. Followed by a gift, but that is the price to pay for a risky serve. Those are the serves she's going to have to do if she's to try and fight for every point. Again, the shovel serve, the heavy backspin. She contacts down on the ball. The change up to the topspin. The shovel serve, one of the hardest serves to read in table tennis, because the contact just slightly different, but a great difference of spin. So having to wait a fraction just to try and see where that contact happens. Of course, that is why there are rules in place, so you cannot hide the ball. Not that I particularly see any of that issue happening from here. Ball is very much clear and visible at all times. Nice try to just go for it. Heavy topspin from Victoria's open up. Again, that heavy spin. You can see the wrist movement, spinning up on that ball, loading it. She is now 9 points, 9 game points in the second game. And a down the line serve and a duck with the head, trying not to get headshotted by the youngster Sonia from New Caledonia. Another very, very dismissive game. Only 1.1 so far. We'll see what the two players have to bring for game number 3. Let's see if Sonia can find a way to try and control the heavy spin that Victoria is bringing. And the hug from the coach. Showing that support. It's what we love to see. Of course, the coaches being not just someone there to help them improve in the game, but they're a cheerleader, a motivator. And that's what we're just seeing there now. Victoria to serve. Two very good serves again. And I think this is an important time to note why learning your serves is so important. You can see the effectiveness they can have. And particularly at the younger level where players are still learning to try and figure out the spin, control the spin, to have a really heavy serve and learn how to use them to your advantage can be a massive turning point into the winning the points or not, a scene by the Australians, but a fantastic return shot to the backhand. Victoria slightly unexpecting it. Oh, look at that. She's starting to get used to the serves now. Victoria's going to have to find a lot more than just relying on her serves if she's to stay and win the match. And that is the shots that she will need, and she's been doing. Not that I particularly would say she's that stressed, but certainly probably a little bit surprised by the incredible fight that Sonia is now bringing in this third game, the best set she has had so far. The heavy backspin, double bouncing. You can see how the spins work. Backspin wanting to go down. So double bouncing on the ball, whereas the topspin lifting up. A nice half-long serve, a slower serve. Victoria just slightly rushing into it. With the two serves to try and get herself 10-4. Certainly, again, not much of a worry. She might be 10-4 down. And a ripping backhand from Victoria to take the match 11-4, 3-0. As I say, despite being 10-4 down, or in this case losing 11-4, she still did 4 times better than her previous set, Sonia. An incredible fight, definitely doing better in this set. The shakes from both sides and the smiles from the two players. That's what we love to see, and that was the enthusiasm I was talking about. Of course, again, we love the enthusiasm from the coaches, the New Caledonian coach supporting her players. And so we're back for game number 3, the first doubles of the event. Of course, the under 15 girls being slightly different. Rather than having 5 singles, 3 singles players, this event is only 2 players. And the 2 players are, in the 5 matches, 2 players playing the 2 singles. But of course, Australia having that 3rd player, they decided to put them 4th in the doubles here. And so we have Victoria still, but joining us from Australia is Yi Su, the 3rd player in the under 15 girls team. And they'll be facing off again the 2 youngsters from New Caledonia, Sonia Kosman and Yvonne Nasreddin, or rather Nasreddin with the I. So of course doubles is a very different game to the singles, because now not only are you worrying about what you are doing, you're worrying about what your opponent is doing. You have to be constantly thinking about how you can prepare them, set them up, the movements, making sure that you don't collide into each other, giving space for each other. So that is what we're going to be seeing. And so as the players get their 2-minute warm-up, both pairs righty, they are the 2 right-handed players. Usually in the doubles, a left-handed player can be a very critical advantage, but not seen here. And thus, the footwork will be more reliant. So of course, one of the benefits of a warm-up is not just kind of getting your shots in, but having a good feel of everything. Of course, you can hear from the sound of the hit that Zijian has. And from what I can see, the short pimple on the forehand side, I'm pretty sure, very similar to one of the players, Mima Ito, and hit for a harder, faster, and flatter shot. See how that works. A good shovel serve to take the first point for Australia. And another one to follow now. Ijian to receive. Heavy backspin deep into the backhand of Sonia. I was able to get a little bit more clear view of that racket. Indeed, it is short pimple on the forehand side. You can generally tell because you can see the difference in coloration despite the rubber being black. And a good push, keeping it short, keeping it tight and loaded with backspin to cause an error. Now 4 points down in this doubles. A good topspin, reading the serve, playing the aggressive game. second point for New Caledonia. Oh, what a forehand. And I was saying about the short pimples, you can hear that sound, the flat hit. Of course, there's still that lift from the backspin, but the harder shot requiring more energy to try and lift off of. Of course, you can also hear the difference. You can hear the brighter sound as the ball hits the pimples. Australia now 2 points away from taking the first game. And that will do it, 11-3 in the first game to Australia. And I absolutely love the enthusiasm from the players and the coaches and supporters, particularly of New Caledonia. I wish you could see the mascot. I wish they could kind of almost jump on court, although that would probably be very distracting to see this energy, the support they have for their players is truly inspiring. It's certainly the inspiration that the players need to boost the confidence. Australia looking to be in very good control in this opening match. The doubles part of this team's event. Of course, the first team to win 3 wins the match, but being a group stage, the teams will be playing all 5 matches. I think that's great, especially for the New Caledonian players, getting the experience of playing against the top players from Australia. One of the beauties of this tournament, and one of the beauties in general of the international tournament. And for Australia, when they go for their international tournaments to other events, playing the top players from Japan, Korea, China, Germany, Sweden, to name a few. Fabulous flick. Short just opening the racket, closing it down as they move forward into the shot. Again, that hook serve so effective. The shovel just contacting it down for the heavy backspin. The last minute change to change the spin. We might even see a change in topspin. I was very much wrong. No, another backspin one, but this one very much handled well. Short to that forehand side, very hard placed. Oh, look at that aggression from the Australian players, but a really good open up by the New Caledonian pair. Yvonne using that wrist to spin the ball up. A very good position on the run as well. They now trail by 4. Well, it's very much clear that this is the stronger pair for the New Caledonian players. They're getting into the rally a lot better. Not just that placement. The Australians just not missing that much, although I guess I speak too soon. Victoria just slightly misjudging the heavy backspin that Yvonne puts on that ball, keeping it short on the center white line, with the best places to place in a doubles, and in particular against 2 right-handed players. But again, the flick. Australia now 4 away from claiming the second game. Heavy side spin serve. Again, the spin really working well for the Australian pair. Oh, what a receive on the topspin serve into the body of Yi Jian. Oh, followed by a very good serve, and you can see the slight embarrassment almost But Etienne had almost a bit of a, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Slightly unexpected by the depth of the serve. Been a good heavy backspin serve to take the second game, 11-4. And smile from Etienne, probably slightly reliving that moment. And the smiles back to the court, the bench of the other players. Another very strong game by the Australian pair now. 2 games to love ahead. See what the two New Caledonian players can bring. They're certainly doing better in this one. As the games progress, they do better. So as the Australian pair come back. Now the New Caledonian pair coming back now. Of course, if Australia wins this, they do win the team's match. As I said before, they will still continue to play until all 5 matches have been completed. Now Australia to serve in the 3rd game. Love all. A very good opener by Yvonne again. The confidence boosting. But Etienne just ready and ripping it back to the forehand side. Again, got to commend a very good technique for the backhand as well. Rushing up on that ball. A good call. It was indeed a false serve. In doubles, you have to serve from right to the left. And if the ball is in either side, the left or the right of the opponents, from the camera view, certainly the serve, it is a fault. So for those who wonder why the players can't just serve wherever they want, there is the reason, or rather, why the players haven't been doing it. It's because they are not allowed to. So this adds a bit of a predictability element to the players, and thus why we tend to see a lot more aggression in the doubles. Of course, with a second player there, the more aggressive game is slightly worth the risk. So you have another player ready to get the ball back. Now the Australians 4 points away from winning the teams match and this match here. That is a serve that'll put them one step in the right direction. Again, such a good read on the far serve. The Australians just not phased at all. So now the Australians leading by 9 points, 9 match points. Take this 3-0. Merriman need the one, a rocketing forehand with the pimples down the line to the backhand to seal the deal. 11-1 in the 3rd game. Australia wins 3 matches and thus wins the match over New Caledonia. But again, as I said, they will be continuing to play all 5 of the matches. So we will be getting ready for the next one. Between Victoria Zhang again, as seen on the court, the one with the incredible shovel serves, the heavy spin, the silver medalist of the under-15 girls at this year's 2023 Australian National Junior Senior Youth Para Championships. And she'll be taking on the number 1 from New Caledonia, Yvonne Nasruddin. She has been building her confidence and is showing here on the court. We'll be seeing how their confidence goes against Victoria from Australia. Again, they'll have 2 minutes to warm up. And so we'll be joining back after the warm-up very shortly. Good serve by Yvonne. Players are starting the first game of the fourth match Australia has already won. But like I said before, they will be playing all 5 matches, and I think this is actually quite good. Not just for the New Caledonian players, the experience. I think it's an important thing to note. These events, they're not cheap to go to. And so I feel this really gives the players the maximum value for what they are training for and ultimately what they are paying for. And Yvonne doing very well here, leading by 2. The serves just being tricky for Victoria to get through. Yvonne reading the serves really well. Look at that, what a rocketing backhand. This is something I don't think Victoria was expecting to be in. A good open up, a slower point. Yvonne really playing well in this point. Oh, look at this. She's doing so well. Yvonne just taking the time, a slower game, breaking the rhythm of Victoria. And she just can't deal with the serves. I mean, that is very impressive. We've been seeing the New Caledonian players struggling to deal with the serves of the Australians, but now it's been reversed. And a good fast topspin serve into the middle of Yvonne. Victoria's going to try and fight back for this one. We've got to commend that confidence that Yvonne is going, still leading by 2 in the second towel break. Victoria now 1 point away from leveling the score. And she does it. She levels it from 7-3 down. I think gaining a little bit more focus after what seemed to be a little bit of a surprise. Yvonne really getting in early. A good serve now to take the lead by 1 point in the first game. there's that serve and third ball. The point that everyone trains for. Now leading by 2. And a beautiful down the line backhand. Taking the time again, just spinning it, moving it forward. From 7-3 down, now leads with 3 game points. And she takes it. A very, very good string of points again from 7-3 down. A bit of sigh of relief as she tries and successfully adjusts to the shots Yvonne was getting. And Yvonne playing very, very well to get into a position to lead by 4 points over the silver medalist of the Australians. Very, very impressive show. We'll see what the two have to bring for game number 2. Certainly more focus now will be had, and we'll see how that goes through if Yvonne can find a way to continue the momentum after this. And we're back for game number 2. And after a relatively tough first game, Victoria taking it 11-7 after being 7-3 down. We'll see what the two players have to bring. Certainly the toughest game between any of the players on this court. And a ripping backhand, taking advantage of the wider angles. And you can see the smiles on the face. And a crushing forehand. You can see the lift on that ball as she moves forward. You can see her telling herself that. Something tells me there will be absolutely no mercy in this one. And a ripping backhand. As I say, Victoria is a player to show no mercy. She did indeed take a set off of Sonia, 11-0. And I would not be surprised to see if that happens again here. Except for one thing, and I was just about to say that she is not playing against anyone. Yvonne with another really good serve. Yvonne will do her best to fight in this one. We've seen the aggression. She knows how to get over the serves. She knows how to deal with the spin a lot better. Just slightly struggling in that. We can see the change in pace from slow, short, heavy sidespin to fast now. 2 points away from taking the second game. Yvonne slightly struggling a little bit more than she did in the first game. But that is in part to the aggression that Victoria is bringing. She's taking no risks, taking every opportunity that comes to her, getting into the point early. Now with 8 game points. And that was what I was talking about, Yvonne taking the risk, getting into the ball. And a down the line ace. Right on the white line, and smiles as she acknowledges an insanely good serve. One that is very hard to place. And she takes the second game 11-3 to have a 2-0 lead over Yvonne. The smiles around from both. But Yvonne knows that she can fight for this. And she'll be coming back, firing for more. So as the players start to come back, Victoria with a 2-0 lead. And with the receive. And there's the aggression. And I actually was going to say, one of the benefits of having two umpires is that two players both being monitored. In the event that either one of the players does get something like a net, there are two umpires to be able to see, agree, two different pairs of eyes. And a headshot and a little bit of acknowledgement, sorry, for accidentally hitting the ball into the head of Victoria. Returned with a fast long serve, curving out to the backhand. Ooh, and it does not come down. Now trailing by 3. Look at that, the ball crackling back, getting down onto it. Yvonne closing the racket to deal with the heavy spin that Victoria puts on the ball. A fast, long, deep backspin. Victoria really effective with her serves. And there it is again. Just punching that ball forward. She now leads by 4 points in this third game. A good heavy topspin serve. The ball drifting long. Victoria slightly overhitting it, but fully adjusting to the spin. Again, there's the kick. Sculling onto the bats. As the ball comes up. Yvonne really with a good backhand, controlling on that serve, but this time Victoria ready. And the heavy backspin, using the spin from the serves. It was high, but it was deceptive with how much spin there was. Victoria just not adjusting to it. Now, Victoria 2 points away from taking the match. That is 1 point in the right direction, and with the serve, the second one indeed works. 11-5, 3 games to love. Australia with a 4-love lead now. A very strong performance by Yvonne. She was dealing with the serves pretty decently. Victoria just ready to continue the game as she wins it for her country. We will now be entering the final match of the under-15 girls teams match between Australia and New Caledonia here live in Townsville, Queensland, Australia. And so as the players get ready to come onto the courts, and then they will have their 2-minute warm-up, it'll be between Talisha Gaynor from Australia, the player. Very different style to Victoria, not as fast, the slower, spinnier game placement above all else is what makes her strong and what makes her one of the best under 15s in Australia. Why she qualified for the team, a feat that cannot be underestimated at all. And her opponent, Sonia Kosman. So the flip of the coin to decide who will serve and who will receive first. Of course, the umpires again switching around. And a little bit of translation, a bit of confusion between the players. Of course, the New Caledonian players, country being part of France, they speak French. That's one of the things about the international players. There can sometimes be a bit of a language barrier. That's why the coaches are there to help out. One of the many roles that they have. So the players now, they each combine, get a 2-minute warm-up just to feel each other's games. Not just that, to kind of get into a rhythm. Just Alicia getting 4th place in the under 15s at the 2023 Nationals in Australia. And I think it's another thing actually to mention, something that I forgot to mention before, the purple rubber on the backhand side. It was a recently new rule introduced that players were allowed to have different color rubbers as long as one of them was black. The red rubber being any color of their choice. Within certain regulations, a few colors are not allowed. One of them is white, for obvious reasons, the ball being white. It'd be very hard to see it. The purple is one of the colors, and I think I love it because it really can show sometimes the personalities of the players. Of course, we've seen a few that have been green. Green, a very common color for a lot of the pimple, especially the long pimple. Now purple here, there are no pimples involved. So now Sonia to serve, love all. And there is the slower topspin loaded with spin. And the short, heavy backspin to the center line to force an error. Switching it up with a fast topspin serve deep into the body of Sonia. So one of the importance in the game is to be able to adjust, but one of the other elements is to be able to change up, not let your opponent keep getting used to what you're doing. Now Talisha leading by 6. And a good recovery by Talisha in the middle. But Sonia just getting that ball a little bit further, just slightly out of reach from Talisha to get the first point on the scoreboard. And the heavy backspin. Talisha with the feeling, and Sonia just struggling to deal with the spin again. This is the experience that the players get. That is the first game, 11-1 to Talisha as she takes the first game. Again, Sonia just slightly struggling with the spin, getting close every single time, but just not enough. You're seeing what the two players have to bring for game number 2. If Sonia can find a way to get on that spin, if she can fight, just like she did for that point that she rightfully deserved. We're back for game number 2. Very shortly now. The players are now here. Talisha with the serve. Second game level. That is 2 heavy backspin serve short. First 2 points on the scoreboard. And the heavy topspin, again, not necessarily fast, but it doesn't have to be fast. What a forehand, a crushing forehand into the middle of Talisha. The beautiful shots that the players are getting. The short backspin working very well for Talisha. Probably one of the reasons why she isn't changing it that often. There it is again. Now 2 points away from taking the second game. And a bit of fortune to take the second game. Again, 11-1. A very, very strong game by Talisha. Nonetheless, again, Sonia just struggling to deal with the spin. This time the short backspin. We'll see what the 2 players have to bring for game number 3. So as the players get ready, we enter the 3rd game of this best of 5, the final match of the team's event for this round. And a beautiful open up on the backhand. You can see the wrist and arm movement as she lifts the ball up. Heavy spin. Of course, these matches can be very instructive. Again, also keeping in mind these players are both under 15. Under 15 and under. These are the future generations of their country's women's teams. Now Talisha leading 6 points ahead. The short backspin still very effective. A good receive on the fast shot Sonia brought this time. Oh, you could hear how much backspin this was. Just the way the bat hit into the table. And that is 9 match points now set up for Talisha. She looks to take the game. And the serve does it, 11-1. Consistency is the key. All three games are the same. A good fight by the pair from New Caledonia, but Australia just too strong, taking the team's match 5-love. Talisha taking the match 3-0. We'll be back for the next team event after the round finishes. That team's event will be coming. But a big congratulations to Australia for a dominant display in this event. We're seeing what these players have to bring later on as the event continues. But next, on table one, we'll be seeing two very strong teams on the men's side. New Zealand versus Tahiti. A lot to look forward to, so stay tuned for that match. We'll be back at 2 o'clock.